Who doesn't love an entry-level, very high-quality DAC/headphone amplifier? Today's review is all about SMSL M300 SA. So this is the latest version of the M300. The main difference from what I could gather are in the power supply part, where the new M300 SA comes with a USB Type-C input for power, which also works for data. While not exactly groundbreaking, this is very interesting because the older units had to have like a power converter which took space, a power outlet, and it was much less convenient than drawing power from the USB Type-C of your computer. Now, this means that the entire power conversion is done inside of the unit, but since this is a headphone amplifier and a DAC, it doesn't consume quite that much power. So you really don't need more power for the M300 SA. Starting with the back of the unit, we have two large XLR outputs, which are balanced, which is really cool, especially since this thing costs $130. So pretty affordable price, but high quality outputs. We also have a single-ended output, but which is in the shape of a 3.5 millimeters jack, which is unique, like you need a 3.5 millimeter to 2 RCA to use the single-ended output. We also have the inputs, which include a coaxial, an optical, a Bluetooth antenna, the power/data input, and we also have a separate auxiliary power for 5 volts. This is basically if you want to try your luck and use a battery to power the SMSL M300 SA. At the front of the unit, we have the volume wheel, which can be pressed so that you can cycle through the menus. We also have a large 4.4 millimeter balanced headphone output and the 3.5 millimeter single-ended headphone output. The power is basically better from the balanced output. It also sounds a bit better. And we have two buttons, one for selecting the input and one for turning the unit on and off. A happy thing is that SMSL includes the remote, and I'm saying the remote because this is the same remote as we've seen with every other SMSL product. So from their cheapest products to their best products, it is always this remote, which is RCA 8C. It is pretty good. I mean, it is fully made of plastic, not very resilient, but works very well and it is intuitive. Now the M300 SA, this is the DAC/headphone amplifier that you'll likely have a lot of fun with if you are in the entry-level price range and if you want something effective yet which doesn't break the bank, because this one is quite affordable. At $130, it is one of the most affordable DAC/headphone amplifiers. I think it is the most affordable one which has balanced XLR outputs. I don't know of any other which has. Please tell me in the comments if you know of any so that I can hopefully review it and share it with everyone here. Also, for this unit, you have a very tiny display. So you can't see much going on the display, but it is useful because it allows you to see the volume, the current input, and it can be dimmed. It can be set to turn off after a while, or it can be set to remain turned on always. For the headphone output, it doesn't have a lot of driving power, but it is enough for most usual headphones. So for headphones like the iBasso CR3, it is quite enough. For Sennheiser HD 600 S2, it is quite enough. It is also good for EMs, although it has a bit of a noise floor. So if you are allergic to finer noise with EMs, maybe this won't be for you. But around this price point, I can't really suggest anything that has a lower noise. The unit is a bit taller than most DAC/headphone amplifiers made for desktop. So this means that it doesn't have quite enough space beneath my television, which is something to take into account if you are using a television or if you need to have it placed on your desk. It may be a bit taller than you are used to. So yeah, this is definitely too tall to have enough space beneath my television. You can cycle through the inputs and you can have all of the inputs connected at the same time. You can also set whether it is outputting to the line out or to the headphone output or to the both, or you can set whether the line out has variable volume or whether it always outputs signal at a fixed volume. In terms of Bluetooth, we have SBC only, so there is no aptX, no aptX HD or LDAC, but the Bluetooth input is cool to have like as an optional. Around this price point, you can purchase an entire Bluetooth receiver to drive headphones, but you can purchase something with XLR outputs for that. The sound is generally very similar for both the headphone output and the line out. And I think that the sound is the SMSL house sound, which is very neutral, very linear. It has a very linear presentation, so you get a very clean sound with not quite that much bass. It is basically a very linear bass. It doesn't roll off, but it doesn't have too much overemphasis. The mid-range is very linear and very neutral, but it is very detailed and very dynamic, especially considering the price range. Then we have the treble, which is also kind of smooth, not very aggressive, not so much in your face, all of which sounds to a very relaxed, very smooth, yet very linear sound. And I saw that a lot of guys who measure desktop amplifiers and DACs and such have gave it a very big thumbs up, and that is because it measures very well. It is very linear. There is no distortion that I can describe, nothing that is measurable which would make it unperfect or which will color the sound. But on the other hand, I do think that the detail is as far as it goes for $130. When you listen to other DACs, you always notice that the sound is usually more detailed, cleaner, and just generally more vivid. With pricier DACs, even from SMSL, they have better offerings, like for example the DO200. The M300 is a very basic kind of portable, so it is not very large, it is very ergonomic, it doesn't grow hot, it is a smaller unit that is made for smaller systems, someone who is on a budget and someone who can't afford to invest in a better DAC. But they do have better DACs which have much better resolution, better detail, and better overall clarity. This one is okay. Like for this price point, you get balanced outputs, a headphone output that is balanced, a headphone output that is single-ended. You get it all in a very small and convenient package, and you get it all working. It works. It never breaks on you. It never does anything wrong. So it is really cool to use. The package does include a remote, so it is more convenient to use than, let's say, DACs that are made for portability, like dongle DACs connected to a computer. This one is much more convenient. Also, the line out is cleaner because it is not a signal which is already amplified like you have on the headphone output. So all in all, it is one of the best sounding solutions that you can get for the price point. You always have to keep in mind the price point. If you are below $150, then this one is the one to go for. There was also FIO K5 and K5 Pro, which were good, but while they have more driving power than the M300, they have a harsher overall sound, more energy in the treble, but also the mid-range wasn't quite as detailed and quite as clean as the M300. This one has a cleaner, more acceptable kind of mid-range. It is also a more relaxed sound that is more enjoyable for a longer period of time. FIO K5 Pro is a really good DAC/headphone amplifier. This one is cheaper, it has a more detailed sound. It doesn't have necessarily more dynamics, but it has better detail, better resolution, it is more relaxed, and of course it measures better. I saw that a lot of guys care about how they measure. How do they measure? Well, I measure it with my ears and I try to describe what I hear. I think this is the point of Audiophile Heaven. This is the point of what I've been doing so far. If you are looking for technical measurements like done by an apparatus, there are guys who run like websites that do that. We don't really do the apparatus measurement, although I do plan in the future to include a more scientific approach to reviewing. Like I want to also have some content about measurements, like to explain what I hear with the scientific data, which is doable, of course, because the scientific data needs to confirm what we hear. Otherwise, one of them is wrong. Like either you don't hear right or what you measured poorly. At any rate, for $130, the SMSL M300 SA will most likely be one of the most popular DACs out there. The Topping E50, which from what I could understand, SMSL and Topping are friend companies. I don't know if they're owned by the same people, but they are friends. And the Topping E50 was one of the most popular DACs out there. I think that this one is a full upgrade over that. It is not quite as bright, but it has better detail, so it should be considered instead of the E50. I hope that my videos are enjoyable to watch. I hope you are having a good time at Audiophile Heaven. Don't forget to like the video, to subscribe, and to share it with your friends if you enjoy the content. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope we'll see each other really soon. Bye bye!